So welcome back on the farm. Today is another automotive related adventure, I should say. I'm not sure how this is going to go, but just over here in our little garage or little shed here, there is our 2003 Mitsubishi Pajero, and it's looking a bit sad, so we're going to give it an upgrade. Yes, this is the current entertainment system that's in this car. I think it's from about 2010. It certainly looks like it. Some of the things don't work, some of them have never worked. I'm not sure what it runs. Is it Windows CE or Android? I'm not even sure, but it's really ancient. It doesn't quite work anymore, so I think we should upgrade it. And for that, it's over here. I'll show you. Oh. We have been sent this system by Atoto, or Atoto. I'm not sure how to say that. How do you say that? Atoto? But this is the S8 Pro. New, well, I hope it's new, in-dash car entertainment, and it looks to be pretty amazing. So let's start by taking that stuff out of the box and see what we're actually upgrading to. So it comes in this quite large box. Actually, it's really quite big. It's much bigger than any of the other screens I've done for the previous videos. And in here we have a box. I'll get to that in just a second. And then we have a lot of foam that's protecting the actual hardware here. So we have, don't need that box. Here we have, it's a 2-DIN system. So DIN, D-I-N, is the standard for measuring space for entertainment units in cars, I think, and not sure exactly what it stands for. But this is a 2-DIN, which is that size here, and then it has a screen on the front. So it actually has this 10.1 massive QLED screen on the front, which looks really good, actually. I quite like that. Which means, obviously, it sits out from the car. So you put that bit in instead of the old one, and then the screen jots out. This is all very nicely packaged. Now the main issue I have is I have no idea if all of these things are going to match what's already in the car from 20 years ago, but I guess we're going to find this out. It also has a ton of features which we'll get to a little bit later. So that's the screen. Well, it's quite nice. And then there's the box of many connectors. It has all sorts of things here. So I think these are all meant for the same thing. It just depends on which connectors you have. So yeah, these have the same labels on them. So one here has steering wheel, and it has, what does that say? Steering wheel key plus whatever. And this seems to have the same labels on it, rear left, I think. So we're going to find out what all these for, but there is a lot of cables. A lot of them with different connectors on them. There's a USB here with another special plug coming out of it as well. There is a front camera in, so we don't have a front camera, but you can support it. And then there's another USB with another connector. Is that the same? They look very similar, but they're probably not. We have another cable for a microphone, so this is probably for your hands-free. That's a big microphone, all right. Then we have a GPS antenna. There is a 4G antenna, a Wi-Fi antenna rather, which is this one. So we get Wi-Fi as well. We have a 4G antenna. There's a bracket of some sort with a whole bunch of screws. I'll see if we get to that one. Then there are a number of different fascias or plastic brackets. This is probably for putting on the front of it. Yep. And then of course we have a lot of literature, instructions, etc. here. And what's this? Oh, a screen protector, HD film. So there's a lot in this box, but that's not all, because it also came with this protective sheet, which I'm not sure what's for. It seems to just be some nylon canvasy type thing, so maybe that's just to protect your seats or something, I'm not sure. And of course it also came with this rear view camera. So we have a rear camera as well that we can put on the car. It already has one, but I think this is probably better. It feels quite sturdy, it's solid. Yeah, a whole lot to figure out, but let's jump back into the car and try and figure out where it all goes. Right, so the first thing we got to do is obviously take this fascia off and remove the old unit. Right, so it's sort of out. Obviously there's a previous generation of customization, so there was a switch that we put on here for something, and there was a light as well which we had to disconnect, so there's always complications. But this here now is what we need to now get to connect to the new unit, and none of these, as far as I can tell, is the standard that is provided by the unit. So I think we're going to have to do some soldering, but we're just going to take all this out and see what we're actually doing, because this is never used either, these things here. So yeah, this will be interesting, but this is what it looks like behind it. Right, so the plan is now, because the car is relatively old, the standard connectors, the ISO connector A and B that comes with the unit, don't fit. That's okay, it's an old car. I was sort of half expecting that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to solder all of the wires that are on this particular thing, the third harness that came with it. We're going to solder that onto the old factory loom that's here. So that will be down here. Let me show you on all of these connectors that we've done before. So now we're going to have to redo those so that they fit into that factory 2003 connector here, which is not a current standard. Well, that's the good thing about standards. There's many to choose from. So yeah, so we got heat gun, we got soldering iron, we got shrink sleeve, we got wiring diagram, we got it all ready. So that's next. Right, so this is all soldered now in here. That's ready to be plugged into the unit, which is there. But we also got to put on the Wi-Fi antenna, which is connected to the back of this. I'm gonna, put it over here somewhere, over here behind the glove box. And the same with the 4G antenna. There are two USB connections that it results in 4 USB plugs, which are external storage USB DVR, I'm not sure, external storage. The other 2 are phone link and quick charge. So we're going to hook those up as well. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to use them for. I mean, quick charge sounds like a charger. And then there is a big microphone for your hands-free as well, which I think we're just going to sort of put out the side here somewhere. But that's it. We got to install it all now. So yeah, let's do that. Right, so I've got all the cables routed now. So we have a GPS antenna, we have the main harness for the unit. There are the 2 USB 1 and 2, that gives us these 4 cables here. There is the radio, FM radio antenna, there is the 4G antenna, and there's the Wi-Fi antenna. So we got everything here. They've just got the microphone, I'll do that last. So now, let's plug all this in to the unit and put it back in there, I think, and we'll see where we go. Now, this is actually pretty neat because a lot of these units sometimes, they're universal, which means they don't fit anything. But this actually has a ton of different mounting options here. It even comes with brackets if you don't have any. Now, I'm going to use the ones that came with the car, which are these, because I know they'll fit in here. And they actually fit perfectly on here as well, just up there. So that's really neat. I really like that. So let's mount it all up. I'll keep the plastic on here, and we should be able to get this going, hopefully. Yeah. All right, it's all plugged in. Now, before I mount the brackets here, I'm just going to gently put it in here and just see if I can get it to fire up to start with before we do too much. I think that's probably prudent. So yeah, let's just see if we can get it going. All right, let's see what happens if we put on the ignition. Hopefully there'll be some sort of life. Well, we got light down here. I've left the plastic on for the minute. I'll take it off when we go through all the features, don't worry. Wow, that was quick. Started up straight away. All right, well we have, let's see if we can get some radio. There's not many radio stations out here in the middle of nowhere, so but let's see. Let's see if we can find something. Come on. No, we got nothing. Maybe the antenna is not working. Now on this particular car there is a dodgy antenna which we haven't fixed yet, so maybe that's part of it, but let's see if we can turn down the audio. Yeah, very responsive, isn't it? That's nice. It's really quick. Alright, let's see if we press the home button here to see if we get anything. Oh yeah, running Android, as you'd expect, to actually have, we have life. We have life! We have life! Probably try and get this on, because I might have to take the screen off to get this on, which could be interesting. Anyway, let's do that next. Let's neaten it up a bit and we'll see what we got. Okay? Right, so I got it on. It's a little bit tricky getting the screws in the back there because this protruded, and anyway, it's in. There's a few USBs down here I need to sort of neaten up a little bit, but it's not too bad. I'll put the microphone down here, and the rest of the old wires, which is a light bar is there, and my voltmeter is up here. So it's sort of, it works pretty well. So let's take this protective thing off if we can. Well, the build quality is really nice. I gotta say, this feels really sturdy. It feels pretty good quality. It's not flimsy in any way. I'm pleasantly surprised, if I'm honest. Even this plastic that I take off is very thick. I don't know if that means anything, but I like it. Right, there it is. So let's turn the car on. Well, ignition at least. And we'll see it in all its glory. Okay, no video files. This is where we left off before. Look at that. That is a good screen. Like that is big and it's clear. Like, I'm really impressed. It looks really good. Like, it'd be interesting to see with the glare because it's very shiny. It's very, glossy, the screen, but let's see. It comes with a screen protector as well, which I may or may not put on. And then there's a whole bunch more things that I want to show you that this can do. Including the rear reversing camera, and there's some apps that comes with it, and there's a whole bunch of things. But yeah, it's installed. It sits really nicely. I really like it. I don't know about you. This looks super good. It's like soft curves. I don't know. That looks good. All right, on to the next thing. Hi. If you really like the Atoto S8 Pro, and maybe you want to buy one, you can support the channel by using the details down in the description. That'd be awesome. Thank you. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be okay too. You can press the subscribe button that's below. So that was it. Thank you. All right, bye. So let's press all the buttons and see what apps and features and whatever comes with this Atoto S8 Pro. Now this is running Android 10, which is probably okay. We can see that if we go into settings here, we go to system and we go about device. Android version 10. It has a build number, which is their own build, so this is Atoto's own build of Android 10. And Android 15 is almost out at the time of recording, so I don't know if this is going to age, I'm not sure, but Atoto is in charge of the updates anyway. There's a whole bunch of information here about the system if that's your thing. So this is a sort of a custom Android launcher. You can change all of these things and move them around, which is really nice, because I don't think I'm actually going to use AUX, for example, because I don't have any video signal for that. So I could just take this and delete it off here. I mean, the app is still here, obviously. There's an avalanche here, I'll get to that. You have some widgets here, and you have 2 screens where you can use it. I think you can only have 2. I think that's hard-coded. But again, here are some of the pre-installed shortcuts, so we can change those if we want to. We have songs here with music. That is if you hook it up to the USB, which is down there. You can hook up your external drive. You can have your own music on there. I'm not sure we'll do that because, of course, it has a whole bunch of apps, right, including Spotify. You just log into Spotify and you have your music there. Now, if you didn't have any connectivity, if you don't want to put a 4G SIM card in it, whatever, then maybe you want to have your external drive hooked up. I'm not sure. But there's a whole bunch of apps. Some of them are the generic Android apps. A lot of these are specific to this Atoto device. There's a front cam app, for example. I don't have the front cam installed. I don't have front cam on this car, but you could see that there. You can have a DVR cam. I'm not even sure exactly what that does, but you can hook up an external hard drive to the DVR USB link again. So there's a bunch of things you can do with this that are specific to this unit. One of the cool things, for example, is you can have now digital radio, of course. So DAB is your digital radio. That even if the FM antenna doesn't work like we saw before, so that's not the unit, that's my antenna on the car that doesn't work. Alright, that's connecting still. Anyway, if I had proper connectivity, we could listen to digital radio as well, eventually. I'm not sure why that's not connecting now, it worked before. Let's go back to the apps here. So yeah, a whole bunch of apps. You have your standard apps, of course, which is your phone, your maps, which is Google Maps. I usually use Waze, but whatever mapping app you want to use. And then you have your other apps. It's just the Play Store. You can install YouTube, Spotify, and then we have all the widgets. So these are widgets that we can use for the various apps. So in this case, we have at a glance, we have a Chrome search bar, we have Chrome Dino, so you can play the little game, sure. And there's a few of those here that we can use. So you can add those. So Spotify has its own widget as well, for example. Screen time, okay, interesting. So it's really customizable, it's really easy to use, it's super responsive. Like, look at this. I've never come across a car system, aftermarket car system, that is this responsive, I must admit. It is, I really like it, it's super smooth. Really, really cool. Now, there's a few kind of extra things you can do here. You can pull down here like you can on any Android. Oh, there's YouTube. There's someone like my comment. And you have your shortcuts to your settings, your equalizer, your night comfort, eye comfort, whatever they call it, all those sort of things. You also have multi-finger gestures, so you can actually pull up like this, and you can see the launcher of the various apps that are running currently. For example, we can go to the DAB app there. You can pull down and we get the widgets on the live wallpapers and wallpapers. So there's some multi-finger or multi-touch rather gestures as well that you can use, which is really neat. Like, they've really thought about this. So yeah, you can install any app you want that is obviously compatible with Android 10, and you can sort of go from there and to your heart's content you can customize this and install all the apps on it. I think it works. I mean, thumbs up. I can't really fault this. It's really, really good. And down here, of course, you have your, like any sort of smartphone, you have your permanent pinned apps. You can change those as well. So if you don't want to have the music player or the phone, whatever, that's it. Alright, let's talk about this reversing camera, because I haven't seen one like this before. Yeah, let me just show you first. We gotta go through a whole bunch. Alright, let me show you this. So, here is, if I can do it properly, here's the screen, right? So, I'm just gonna put it in reverse here, without the engine on, but it'll give you the signal. And it should change to the camera. Now, as you can see, there are 3 areas. This is one camera, by the way. This is one camera. There's the main camera here. Then there's a little itty-bitty straight down view here, which is from the same camera, I think. It's very odd. And then there's this diagram picture of a car. I'm like, what is that for? Now, you might have noticed this checkered thing out here, so I'll just show you. I'll put that out here, and this is laid out behind the car in a very specific placement. So it has to be like 15 centimeters from the rear of the bumper. You see the little squares there, the little itty bitty squares. They have to be centered. It has to be flat. It has to be no wind, which is going to be interesting because it's kind of windy today. But anyway, and now what we can do is we can calibrate the rear camera. This is a calibration cloth. That's what they call it. So I'll show you why that's important. All right, let's go and calibrate it. So I'll go back in the car, and we'll go back in here onto the screen. So there's this secret menu here. So if you press 6 times on this side here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then here we get a calibration menu. I like little Easter eggs like that. Anyway, it's in the manual. It's not that secret. And this will allow us to calibrate the rear camera. So I haven't actually done this, so we're going to see what happens. There's a little quirk as well that we need to adjust for, but let's just click calibration, I guess. Calibrating. We'll see. Actually, I should have gone to vehicle parameters first. Anyway, I jumped the gun. I pressed calibration. I couldn't. Oh, calibration failed. All right, let's just go to vehicle parameters. So here we have SUV, others. So this is an SUV. That'll change the, oh, it changes the little thing over there. Oh, others is a ute, or a pickup as you would call them in the US. So we can change this. So the vehicle length is actually 4.75. I looked this up, and the vehicle width is 1850. So we'll just update that, 1850. Save and exit. All right, now let's try and calibrate it again. Calibrating. Right, see, so now it's calibrated. Now this is, I'm just looking at the manual here because I can't remember everything. Okay, we need to adjust it to the center of the rear. Oh, well, it has, because it's right down. You can see that the line is right down the middle of it. So that's the rear, the center of the rear here. Yeah, I think this is fine. We can center the image, which we have. So it's centered there. Okay, I thought I had to do that because the camera's not mounted in the middle. All right, so we can save it. Save it, yep, and then we can exit. So now what this does, and I'll show you this in just a second, is that as I reverse, this will actually fill in with the parking space around me, or like it records, because it now knows the distances based on these squares. It can then draw the real world around this image of the car so that we know where the car is. Oh, and there's a cat sitting on the calibration cloth now. Hi, Boots. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, I think it's pretty cool. So let me just try and see if I can get this parking to actually work. But I'm going to have to put you down because I need 2 hands. Yeah, let's try and see if the calibration worked. Let's try and back up and see what actually happens now we calibrated it. So I'm going to back up here. Oh, look at that. And it sort of goes onto the bit that I've already covered. That is kind of cool. Look at that. So it remembers what it's filmed. Can't go too far because I'm going to hit stuff. But yeah, see, it goes up on there. Okay, let's just try and go forward a bit more. I'll give it another go. Try and not knock you over. It's a bit bumpy here. There we go. Alright, so we're going to go backwards again now. Let me just adjust you so you can see what's going on here. There we go. Okay, we're back in reverse. So you see the bit here? So that's like the bit you're backing onto. That's really clever. I get it now. Look at this. I'm backing onto the bit in the camera. Oh, that's cool. I really like that. Look at that. Oh, I'll just adjust you again here. The car's going a bit up and down. There we go. Look at that. You can see exactly what's around you. That is pretty damn sweet. Yeah, I'm a fan. So that's where you calibrate it. You get that actual image here is where you reverse onto. I thought it was just the camera looking down. No. That is the actual surroundings of where you are. That's clever. All right, big thumbs up for that feature. All right, let's move on. So before we get to the last couple of sort of unique features of this particular screen, or device, yeah, I guess it's a screen, entertainment system, let's just briefly cover some of the specs for this, because there are some that are kind of interesting, but I must admit the listing for this thing, you'll see if you click the link below, there are so many details. So I'll try to summarize them for you. All right, so here we go. So it comes with a ARM or ARM Cortex octa-core processor, and that sounds fancy. It says for robust multitasking and quick response, and it does have really quick response. I'm very impressed with the response time. Like, it just feels so immediate and so nice to use. It runs the Atoto AICE UI 11.0 which is their own interface based on Android 10, as we saw before as well. Now the display, it is a 10.1 inch QLED screen with a 1280 by 720 resolution. That kind of sounds low for such a large screen. I would have liked that resolution maybe to be a bit higher, but it certainly looks really nice. It's very clear. Internet access, of course, there are many ways. We have the Wi-Fi, which I've connected now. You can do it via Bluetooth with aptX HD for high quality audio. You can do USB tethering. There's built-in 4G cellular modem as well, so you can actually have 4G connectivity, which I've put a SIM card in it as well. We'll see that probably in just a minute as well. And then, of course, it supports CarPlay. Well, I'll show you that as well in a minute. It supports Android Auto. It has multiple Bluetooth connections, it has 2 Bluetooth connections, and it has all of those USB connectors for external drives and quick charge and your phone link. Even if you can't connect wirelessly, you can use the USB with your phone. The audio, it has a digital signal processor with 9 preset equalizer modes. So yeah, I haven't showed you the equalizer, but it's what you'd expect. You can set your levels up and down, you can move the where the sound comes from, set left to right, front to back, all those sort of things. Nothing spectacular, it works pretty well. It also has, they spell out safety features, and sure, let's talk about safety features in an entertainment system, but it has speed compensated volume control. I don't know if that's safety, but the volume does go up and down as the car goes faster, because the assumption is that it'll be louder. This is not a Rolls Royce, so it probably is. It has touch gestures, which, as I showed you, to give you some shortcuts. It actually does split screen as well. You can have 2 apps running side by side. I haven't showed you that, but it does do that. I don't know if that's particularly useful. Usually you see that in something like Android Auto or CarPlay. And then there is a couple of extra little things that I haven't tried yet. I'm going to take you on the journey, but we'll get to those in just a minute. So those are the overall specs. Pretty good. I mean, the octa-core processor just makes this a really nice experience. And of course, running Android, you can install anything on it. It has Android, you know, the Play Store. So yeah, all right. Next up, we're going to install an app and we're going to try something out. All right, so there's 3 more apps or features I want to show you. Well, kinda, as it turns out. But anyway, here we go. So the first thing is this thing called Track HU, which is a way of tracking the car, because obviously the unit has GPS, and there's GPS, you know, signal that it can record, and it has a data connection, and it can send coordinates of where the car is. So whether you think that's a good idea or not, but you can track your vehicle, and it can maybe come in handy. So let me show you. So here is the screen, obviously, and if you go into settings here, and then under device, if you press device 4 times, GPS app enabled, or enable, yep. If you then go back out to the apps here, then in under here, there's something called Track HU. That only appears when you do that. And then in here, you can see that I have now enabled, what does it say here? Status enabled, and there is a QR code on here as well. So when you scan that QR code, you can actually see, it goes to the My Atoto portal, GPS tracking portal, and you can see where the car is. Now you only have to do this once to set it up. It's more so that not anyone can just track your car, right? And then if you don't want this app to show, I'll go back here, you go into settings, and you can press it again,
and then it's disabled it, as in it's actually just hidden it. So now, whoops, when you go to the apps here, it's no longer here. It's still running though. It's still running as far as I'm aware. And that way you can track your vehicle and see where it is. And this might be if you want to keep an eye on someone borrowing the car, and it might just be safety. If it's a fancy car, you want to track it. I don't know, whatever your motive might be, right? So that's one part of it. And I'll just get the app for you, just 1 second. So here's the Track HU Manager. And you can now see there is the dot for where the car was last seen, which is here, obviously. And that is one of the features. That's one of the sort of hidden features, or maybe special features, that this screen has. Now the second one is this Drive Chat. So if you go into, again, the apps, there's something here called Drive Chat. And there's a QR code that comes up. And when you scan that QR code, I'll do it for you here. Here on the screen, it opens up this download page, and you can download it for Android. This is an APK that you have to sideload. However, I don't think it's ready for prime time. It looks like this. I'll give you a couple of screenshots here on the screen as well, but it's just a bit of a mess, and I can't actually get it to work. I sign up through this thing, and it just says my details don't work. But apparently what it's supposed to do is have a chat app between the screen and the app, so you can chat with people in the car. I don't know why you wouldn't just use Messenger or WhatsApp or one of the million other messaging platforms that are there. But that's a thing. I don't think it's ready for prime time though. I couldn't get it to work, but it was one of the things that I was told that this was special about. So hopefully they'll fix it in a future release. And then the third thing I wanted to mention in terms of sort of apps and special features is that, of course, it supports both Apple CarPlay, if that's your thing, if you've got an iPhone, and also Android Auto. Both of those are just fine and works as you'd expect from a new entertainment system like that. I'm not a fan of Android Auto in particular. I gave you my reasons in the previous video, which is linked there. But if it's your thing, it's totally supported. So yeah, there's a tracking app which works really well, I think. I mean, so far so good. There's this messaging app which doesn't work, and I don't see the point of. And then Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is also part of it. So there's a lot of extra features that comes with this screen as well. Yeah. Oh, hi. How did that get on there? Right, we should talk about some pros and cons. I think that's a good way of sort of summing up the video and this device. Let's start with the pros, yeah? First of all, the build quality. I think it's really good. I'm really impressed with the build quality. Everything feels sturdy, everything is secured really well, everything is nicely designed, like the functional design, the industrial design of it, I think that's a high plus. It's much nicer than some of the other devices that I've seen and tried. Number two, of course, the screen. This is an amazing screen. Yes, it's only 1280 by 760 or 720, whatever it was, the resolution was, but it looks really good. And you know, coming up, you know, as the hardware, this sort of really smooth scrolling here is just, yeah, I can't fault it. The screen and the hardware is just really, really good. And then of course, number three, my new favorite thing, that reversing camera is amazing. Like it took a while for me to click and to understand how it reversed up and everything, but that reversing camera is just really good. It's really useful. Yes, it's static, as in it's not cameras going around and recording in real time, but it shows you where you're backing up to and where your car is positioned, and it really works. Very impressed with that. Now, of course, that's gotta bring us to the cons as well. And I think number one is trying to do that software, those apps that just don't need to be there. Like we don't need that chat app. I think, obviously I couldn't try it, so I don't know, but I don't think we need to invest so much time. These companies obviously need to distinguish themselves somehow and, you know, stand out from the competition, but that's just not the way to do it. Focus on the hardware instead, I think. Number 2 con for me is that it still feels a little bit clunky, like the software, I mean. Some of these menus are just, yes, like if you go to the settings, they're big, big menus, they're easy to hit with a finger, I appreciate that, but it's still not very well explained. Like you go into general, for example, it says auto start switch. I don't know what that is. I still haven't figured out what that happens when I turn that on. So yeah, some of the menus and some of the decisions on where to put things is just maybe not, I can live with it, and it doesn't, you get used to it. It's just not as ideal as it could be if you look at like stock Android, which is thought through very, very carefully. But I think that's it. I can't really fault it that much. It is a really good device. I'm really impressed with it. I'm glad I installed it in this car and it's gonna stay here. But I'm really keen to know what you think. So put it down in the comments below. What do you think of the Atoto S8 Pro? They have many different models, by the way. Is this something that you would use? I think it fits, even this old car, it fits really nicely. Yeah, I'm keen to know. And of course, if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more things, one of the ways you can support the channel is by subscribing down below, because I know about 80% of you watching are not subscribed. So please do that, and that'll help me immensely getting to do more of these things, to be honest. But that's it for me for this time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.